Okay, so now before I start this next part, this is part 10 of my response to Major Lee's The Last Jedi is amazing, you are all insane, because it's not. I'm going to first call out Major Lee again, because by the time this video is posted, my little rant over Major Lee's attitude on Twitter towards people who don't like The Last Jedi, especially Mauler, who, Major Lee basically said that Mauler deserved nothing because he bitched about a movie that was 2.5 hours long by making a 6-hour review of it, which was stupid. And I called him out on it by saying that was a dick move. And then I made a joke tweet where I played a clip of Filthy Frank crying like a bitch over the tweets from that thread. And he responded to me. Or not responded to me, he quote tweeted me and said something incredibly stupid. So let me read it to you real quick. He said, "Wow, man, that's an adorable animation of my tweets that you took the time to make. Honestly, I'm honored. Thank you. Your obsessive level of butthurt only supports my theory that you have all lost your fucking minds. Get a life." Oh, boy. Oh, okay. So you're the guy who's basically the progenitor of everything Patrick H. Williams said in his discussion over plot holes by basically saying nothing fucking matters, and his freaking Last Jedi review that was basically filled with a bunch of your talking points where it's like, oh no, if you don't like this, I don't want to be friends with you. Oh no, if you don't like this, then you're a horrible person. And you're basically saying that people are horrible people for not liking your film. Liking this film that you happen to like. Well, that's pretty fucking disgusting. That's disgusting. When you did it to Mauler, that was the last straw for me. I cannot think of you as a good person that just could not defend the film like you needed to. And since apparently you've been doing this for years, okay, it's time to go full on out with this. I'm going to debunk the fucking shit out of the rest of your fucking video, sir. With 29 minutes left, this may take the entire rest of the year if I do this consistently or into next year. But fuck it. Let's go. Jesus fuck. Okay, now that last clip was from the last video where he was talking about the amazing Lucas saying, "Oh my God, they're pushing the social justice agenda with all the ladies like freaking Holdo, Rose, and Ray." And he's not wrong. He just comes at it from the wrong angle because while Major Lee is taking his clips out of context, what the amazing Lucas was saying was not exactly great. So I will give you that, Lee. I will give you that. But you're missing a teeny tiny problem. Kathleen Kennedy has a feminist agenda. She's shoving that agenda into the film and not giving a shit who dislikes it. Okay? She's even quoted by saying that I don't have to cater to male fans, which is a big part of Star Wars' audience. If a man was in her position, like if George Lucas was still helming it, and a bunch of women were complaining about the male characters, and then George Lucas said, I don't have to cater to women fans, you bet your ass he'd be getting fucking trashed. You bet your ass he'd be getting fucking trashed, sir. I can guarantee you. And judging by your behavior on Twitter, you don't care about Kathleen Kennedy being a sexist. Because that is pretty sexist behavior, to say that you don't care about a certain demographic of people. If she said that about, like, black people, would you defend her? No. Maybe. Maybe, depending on the context.
Did women take a back seat during the third act? Ray was, not even in it. And who gives a shit if there's a bunch of women in the film?
Well, here's the thing. They're promoting diversity. They're supposed to be doing this thing where they promote diversity. Well, they sprinkle all the female characters. They either make them super duper important to the plot, or they're basically glorified cameos that basically do nothing for the story. Like Rose's sister. The only thing she really does, and she's only in the film for like 30 seconds, the only thing she really does is save the resistance from the freaking dreadnought at the beginning of the film. And then there's also this pilot that Poe seems to be acquainted with that was shown at the beginning. She fucking dies in the hangar bay. for no reason, she just fucking dies in the hangar bay. Okay? And I was given the impression that she might actually have been important to the story. Or that she would be an interesting character. But no, she gets freaking blown up. We don't even know who these people are. This is my big problem with the world building of The Last Jedi. And The Force Awakens. Is that we're shown these different characters, but we don't get the time. Or we don't get a Wedge character. I've said this in previous videos before. We don't have a Wedge character to get acquainted to. That helps us get acquainted with certain areas of the rebellion. We don't have a character to get acquainted with that, gives us a certain understanding of how the rebellion thinks. That's not great. Like, you don't have side characters to interact with, and when we do, it's just Rose, Holdo, and Billy Lord. That's kind of it, and then there's one alien pilot that Poe talks to, but we barely see that guy. Like, we barely see him in the film, and we don't see him like Wedge, where they are communicating. Except maybe one scene where they're sitting down, and after, Holdo takes command of the ship, it's the only scene they really talk to each other. You don't really see him after that. That's just like one scene. And then, Holdo, you could have cut Holdo out of the entire story, put Admiral Akbar in her place, change up the dialogue, the whole movie would have flowed better. Okay, and I'm really sick and tired of people's defenses for Holdo. Like, well, if they it wouldn't change anything in the movie if they put Akbar in her place. It's like, oh, yes, it would. That's a fan favorite character. And that's one of the big problems is these side characters that hold nothing to the story, the ones that are being promoted very largely through the movie, hold nothing. You can cut them out of the movie and it would flow a lot better. Like, Finn's basically absent for most of the film. From the lead ship. He does, nothing he does helps with anything. Nothing he does when he's at Canto Bight or he's on the Supremacy holds anything to the story. It's just a singular character arc that, if his plan had succeeded, would have actually meant something to the overall plot, but it fails anyway. And then he comes back in a Deus Ex Machina moment by freaking flying a ship into the rebel base on Crate. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent here. I'm going to keep going in a second. But the problem with the female characters, along with the lady who plays... God damn it, what's her name? It's fucking... I know her name. Maz Kanata. She's only in there for one scene in the film and is essentially useless. She just provides one piece of information and then flies away. That's it. She really does nothing of importance, considering Finn's story arc is completely pointless in the film, aside from the last part of the film, which if they actually made him succeed, like they should have done earlier, would have actually done something for his character. But no, Rose had to freaking jump in front of him somehow, despite the fact that defies the very law of physics. And where the ships were positioned at the time. Massive continuity errors. And she's like, oh no, we gotta shove in this anti-war message in our war film that makes no sense in the context of the story or the world. It's just stupid.
You get to look at women. Why are you complaining?
This film is just riddled with just social justice warrior nonsense.
Oh boy. Now I see what's going on here.
I'm just like, it's just like so just like, oh, I know your type. You're a flyboy. You need to shut up and listen to what I'm saying, okay? What is this crap? What is this feminist garbage where it's like, I'm a strong, powerful woman, and I know that you're the patriarchy, and you're men, and you're evil, and blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, oh my God, kill me now.
Yeah, and I wonder why she left you. Nothing that she said was anti-men.
That's not the point, you idiot. It's the fact, the way she dressed and her attitude towards the only character other than Leia that she actually interacts with throughout the whole movie is Poe. And she treats him like dirt for no reason, despite the fact that his plan actually saved the rebellion. But the resistance. Oh, no, fuck that. It's the rebellion. Fuck it. It's just the rebellion. I don't know why I don't call them the rebellion, because they basically say that, oh, hey, the rebellion at the end of the fucking film. But look, you're missing the obvious archetypes here, Major League. Either you're woefully, you're looking at this from a foolish standpoint, like you just don't see where people are coming from when it comes to Holdo's character, or you're purposefully downplaying it. Do you not see the way she's dressed? She's got purple hair, very long, not tied up or anything. Well, not very long, but it's pretty long, not tied up or anything, and is in a fucking dress. And then she treats the only male character that she actually interacts with throughout the whole film as a piece of shit. And then and apparently is in a lesbian relationship with Princess Leia, which is fucking dumb. Don't tell me that that's explained somewhere. It's not. It's not. No explanation would make it right. Because she had a relationship with Han Solo, Harrison fucking Ford's character. You don't just tear apart that relationship and then make her go all stereotypical lesbians. Alright, that's stupid. But anyway, she treats Poe like dirt, routinely stalls him, will not give him key information that would actually, help everybody in their current predicament. And then, as ER pointed out, she's a lesbian that used her ship to light speed through white supremacy. Yeah, tell me how there's nothing social justice about her character again. I would totally love to hear your explanation for that shit. Oh, I would just love it, man. I'd love it, man. Just tell me. Just tell me right now. Just tell me right now. Call me out on Twitter.
She scolded him for getting people killed, which he did.
No, he didn't.
It's like you're taking on the emotions of Poe's character, even more so than he did. Poor Laura Dern. She's so underrated in this film.
And also, why not just...
Okay. I will agree. Laura Dern is criminally underutilized. But that's just Laura Dern, not her character. Holdo was overutilized to tell a stupid-ass story. Alright? It basically... Her point in the movie doesn't matter because at the end of the movie, Poe's basically at the same position that he was earlier. He didn't learn anything. Well, no, he learned something. As Red Letter Media pointed out, that he should blindly follow authority. Okay, so he makes the right call because, one, if you pay attention, the bomber plan was actually everything that they were going to do anyway. They were regardless of if the bombers make any sense. That was their whole fucking plan in the first place, that they were going to use the bombers. And the bombers were already on their way to attack the dreadnought at the beginning. And then Leia, for some odd reason, after all the transports have been lifted off the planet, says, hey, we need to fuck off. But Poe's like, well, no, we're going to get fucked. Like, what the hell have I been doing, risking my life out here for the last 5 minutes doing? And all the bombers heard her to pack off. But Poe muted her, and everybody else did too, and went along with the plan. Okay, so tell me again that Poe got everybody killed, because he obviously didn't. Everybody else, hearing Poe's plan, hearing everything between Leia and Poe, went on anyway. They wanted to destroy that dreadnought. And then when you find out later, all right, I'm going to have to repeat this again. And then when you find out later that the fucking supremacy had the stupid tracker on board, Poe inadvertently saved everybody's life again, because if they sent their bombing fleet out there right then and there, whenever they got found out again, they would have been fucked. Like, there would have been nothing they could have done against the ships. They would have all died. Unless they had Y-Wings, of course. Then they would have actually had a fighting chance. But no, Rian Johnson had to advertently, reference World War II films. Despite the fact that those bombers were big and fast instead of big and slow as fuck. Jesus Christ.
Poe the plan.
Right. I know, I didn't really tell you.
Do you know how many people died? Do you know how many people died because they just felt that he didn't need to know? A lot of people died.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and people didn't die when he was in charge?
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry, man. This is just hilarious. Your lack of logic baffles me, sir. It baffles me. It really does. Like, that was their plan in the first place. It was obviously their plan in the first place. They had their bombers already out, ready to attack. If they had tried retreating, the freaking dreadnought would have blown them up anyway. That's what they had to do to win. That's what they had to do to survive. And you're just saying that Poe got people killed because of a petty judgment of plan? Despite the fact that that was what they were doing in the first place? And guess what? How many people end up living throughout the entirety of The Last Jedi? They had 400 people left after the first fight, after the first hyperspace jump. Only 12, at least 12 people are alive on the Falcon that we see. Maybe in another novel, maybe 100 made it off the planet, off of Crate alive. Only 12 that we visually see. At least, or maybe at most 20. You know how many people died on Crete? Over 300 people. Okay? And if the stupid missiles that Kylo had didn't blow up the hangar bay, I'm sure that the rebellion would have been able to defend themselves, and if the First Order had actually been competent with their strategy, the entire battle would have ended. The entire battle would have been over the minute they jumped out of hyperspace. Because if the First Order were actually competent, they would have blown everybody out of the sky. Or they would have had Star Destroyers go around them and flank them. Put them in a hole. Fuck them up that way. And then why can't they do what Plinkett suggested? Just put people, since they only have one tracker that we know of, why don't you put them on 3 ships? Have the big cruiser, and then have some couple smaller transports. Split yourself 3 ways and take your chances. At least 2/3 would survive. Exactly what he states. Why can't you do that? Wouldn't that save a lot of lives? But no, instead you gotta let the ships run out of fuel, which is inexplicably an issue for some reason, even though it never has been in a Star Wars movie before. So it's like, well, what are you expecting to get out of this? This is what you say is a good argument? This is a good argument? This is some of the dumbest logic I have ever had the displeasure of hearing for this movie.
Did you forget that part?
She won't tell Flyboy what her plan is. Why?
I don't know. Maybe because he got demoted?
But so what? Alright, I'm going to bring up a point from Ollie here. So what? No one got promoted in his place. And since the rebellion's only made up of fucking 400 people at that point, it's a joke to promote and demote people. Alright, Leia was acting retarded. Honestly, if you weren't on Poe's side throughout the entirety of the film, you had to have been missing something. You have to have missed something to think that Holdo was making the absolute best possible choices throughout the whole movie, and that Poe was being a jitty idiot. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Poe was doing the right thing the whole film, and he gets taught not to do the right thing. It's stupid. You're retarded, Holdo. Leia, for some reason, got Alzheimer's during the middle of the battle, forgot what they were doing, decided to be a bitch to Poe. Which is what Poe basically is. He's the whipping boy for the higher-ups. It's kind of sad. Alright, considering, Leia trusted him enough to go get the map for her brother in the first film of this new trilogy. You'd think she would have trusted him more. And then after the entire battle, why wouldn't Leia just say, hey, I'm sorry. You ended up getting our asses out of there. You did a good job. That was my bad. Why can't she say that? Then you can keep both characters intact and have the mutual trust. Nope. Not going to get that. Nope. Everybody's just going to be fucking idiots now. That's just great. Yeah. That's totally good character writing.
aggressive as shit?
Oh my god, you
Why
fucking
is a strong
retard.
male character getting shoved in the corner? Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Get your ego out of the picture for 2 seconds and pay attention to the plot. It all makes sense.
Oh, it's just for the plot. It's just for the plot. It's just for the plot. Plot, 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 plot. No one cares. Okay? One of the key aspects of Star Wars has always been plot. But when the plot is this stupid, when it's stupider than The Phantom Menace, yeah. Kind of have to call it out. Not even if the... No, look, and there's been some good movies where the plot is pretty crappy, but the characters are solid. In this one, the characters are not solid, and the plot is shit. The plot makes no sense from a military standpoint. It makes none, absolutely no sense at all from a military standpoint. Especially the final battle, and I'll get into that one later when he gets to it, I guess.
Is it just so she can have something over his head and be like, yo, I'm a strong, powerful woman. I know what I'm doing.
What is your beef with strong, powerful women? Did you get spanked by your female principal when you were a kid?
What the fuck kind of a... What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Fucking what? What the fucking fuck? What in the fuck are you? Jesus Christ. And I already used the Big Lebowski clip in the last one. Now I'm gonna have to find another one of somebody saying, what the fuck? Shit. That's not his problem. Okay? I hate this bullshit straw man that people who don't like The Last Jedi hate women. That's bullshit. There are plenty of strong female protagonists that I fucking love. Ellen Ripley, Samus Aran, Lara Croft, the top 3 for almost any character list for female characters. Because they all work in their respective mediums and aren't pushed through like there's something that they're not. They all have some level of relatability. They all are well developed. They have great stories in their mediums. Okay? Ellen Ripley. She's by far my favorite female character because she does things that not only make sense for her as a character, makes sense for her as a woman. You know, befriending Newt, okay? When you look at her life story, she has a daughter, leaves her on Earth, never sees her again because she was stuck in hypersleep for so long. You know, she couldn't find her daughter. She couldn't come back to her daughter. She came back, but it was just a couple years too late or so, and she had already died. And in a deleted scene, they would have actually had a conversation where, like, Ripley's daughter actually told her she hated her, and that would have actually been a little bit more emotional. Though I do prefer, you know, her daughter dying before she ever made it back. And then if you play Haley and Company, actually figure out her daughter is alive, and then think maybe Ripley's daughter is alive. Maybe they can find each other again. Like based on the cliffhanger ending. And you know, knowing that she cannot find her daughter, or that she cannot come back to her, and when she finds this little girl who survived in the vents, hiding from xenomorphs, the whole movie, or at least the whole movie up to that point, had been hiding away from the xenomorphs. You know, she takes solace in that. She's like, oh my God, this is a little girl about my daughter's age. Quickly befriends her. And, you know, it's emotional for us because, you know, she's got that motherly instinct. And it's like, this is believable. And you could see through her character action that she was a good mother. And that binds us to both Newt and Ripley. And, you know, going through the rest of the movie, everything she does, she tries to do to save everybody there. Even the people that she doesn't necessarily like. Except for Burke, because Burke's a dick. But, I mean, she tries to save Gorman, she tries to save Vasquez, she tries to save Hudson, tries to save Hicks, tries to save Bishop, she tries to save Newt, she tries to save everybody. She doesn't want anybody to die. She doesn't want anyone to suffer the same fate that she suffered over 57 years ago. That's what makes her so relatable. What does everybody have to relate to with these female characters in this movie? Their vaginas. That's it. That's the only thing that we can relate to a person is vagina. Alright, just boob and vagina. That's it. Alright? The female characters in the new trilogy are memes. That's honestly sad. To think that Rey is the antithesis of a strong female protagonist, and that without training, as Molly pointed out, if Freys are going to start popping up everywhere, and just on virtue of being a woman, they can do all of this shit without training or without development to make us connect ourselves personally to the character, to make us care for them in times of great peril. We have taken a really far step back in writing and culture. And I'm sorry, I can't this is bad.
I don't understand this.
If you had just told him what your plan was, he wouldn't have structured a mutiny.
Who cares if he structured a mutiny? It didn't do anything anyway.
Oh, you finally admit it. You finally admit there's something that in this plot doesn't make any sense, and that it doesn't do anything anyway. Oh, good for you. Good for you, sir. You finally said it. You said that it didn't do a damn thing anyway. Despite the fact we would have saved about 30 minutes of fucking film if he didn't say a damn, if she had told him a damn thing. Because right after he's on the transports, after waking up, Leia tells him the fucking plan, and then Poe's like, this is gonna fucking work. He's like, this might fucking work. Are you shitting me? What the fuck? I can't. Oh my god. Oh my god. Your lack of logic astounds me. Yet again, sir. Just astounds me. Of course it didn't do anything for the story. All it did was turn Poe into a sniveling coward. Well, not sniveling, but it turns him into a coward.
Got stunned and went into nap time immediately after doing it.
And then you're forgetting Holdo said she liked him. So there was obviously a miscommunication between the entirety of the cast. Major miscommunication there, sir. If Holdo had just told Poe the fucking plan, we wouldn't have had these stupid subplots. We wouldn't have had 30 minutes of film wasted. We would have had more time to spend looking at Luke and Rey on his island. We would have had a lot more for the story. But we sacrificed it all to preach an anti-capitalist message and turn Poe into a little bitch. Turning everybody into Shinji Ikari, except ironically Finn. But then they try to preach to him to be a little bitch. So it's like, this is like The Last Jedi is basically the Shinji Ikari school for running away. Like, because that's all the resistance / rebellion does in this movie anyway, is just run away. Like, Shinji Ikari, man. And this is anime Shinji. This isn't manga Shinji where he tries to fucking punch Gendo in the face after what happened with Toji. No, this is freaking just the anime Shinji where he just runs away and gives no fucks. Yeah. Fuck.
Hang on, I'm not finished. You remember in Return of the... Oh my goodness, I'm not finished. Remember in Return of the Jedi? In Return of the fucking Jedi? Dude, please calm down and focus on the road. You're making me really nervous.
Okay, looking at the road that he was driving on, he was going fine. He was going straight. Like, I don't know why he felt the need to comment on that. And there are plenty of people who make videos while they're driving. I did it one time, but though that was just me doing audio. But I didn't crash. Now, preferably, I wouldn't want you to get distracted off the road if you're doing that. But if you want to do it, that's your thing. Just don't kill anybody. But looking at what that dude was doing on the road, he looked like he was doing everything just fine. So I don't know why he feels the need to comment on it. Just a weird thing.
They've just fucking copied everything.
And people are passing him too.
Every fucking plot from Return of the Jedi. Oh, let's just copy and paste it. The millennials are so fucked up. They play Call of Duty. They
in you have so many issues. But really? You think this film was too similar to Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, there was a scene of Grand Theft Cinema, like the discussion in the elevator. Luke and Rey trying to turn their respective dark side opposites to the good side. And and then those guys saying, "Nah, we're gonna turn you to the dark side." And then having a scene in the throne room where the dude dies, the main bad guy dies, and then the polar opposite to the good guy gets fucked up. And dialogue was just lifted out of that movie. This ripped off 2 scenes. Okay, discussion with Luke and Vader over Luke trying to turn Vader to the dark side and Vader rejecting it, and then Rey trying to turn Kylo to the light side and then Ren rejecting it, and then those 2 counter with, "I'm going to turn you to the dark side and I'm going to take you to the Emperor now, or I'm going to take you to Snoke now." So you got that, and then you go to the throne room. Snoke basically says the same thing, and then remember how Luke looked out a window and saw all the rebellion ships getting fucked up by the Death Star? Poe somehow has a fucking magnifying glass in the room that shows him what's happening with all the rebel transports, even though he could not have possibly figured out what was going on there. So, yeah. Don't give me that crap that, oh no, the Return of the Jedi wasn't completely copy and pasted, because it was. It was a mix between Return of the Jedi. No, it was a mix between all of the Star Wars films. It starts off basically like A New Hope, and then it goes through Empire, ends with and then at the climax of the second act, which is apparently that's what it was the second act. It ends with Return of the Jedi, and then it goes into the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, and a split with the Millennium Falcon chase in Return of the Jedi in the second Death Star. So, Lee, it was a clone.
In Return of the fucking Jedi, when Yoda on what's the planet? Dagobah. He goes to the Dagobah system. Luke to see Yoda. Yoda's a recluse, a fucking recluse on Dagobah. Well, Luke is a recluse on a fucking rock. Okay? And guess what? Rey goes to him for fucking training. Hang on a second.
Yeah, hang on a second. You just referred to this as Return of the Jedi?
Yes. But guess what? He came back in Return of the Jedi to complete his training. Yes, that wasn't great wording on that dude's part. But he was going back to complete his training, as was stated. Okay, he kind of had like the whole conflict Aang had in Avatar: Last Airbender, where he didn't complete all the chakras, so he got fucked up with the Avatar state for a little while, and then when he actually did it, he got shot the fuck in the back by some lightning and nearly died. Yeah, you're forgetting about that key little detail too, douchebag.
Like 3 times in a row? I mean, if that doesn't throw your whole argument out the car window, I don't know what does.
What the problem is, the reason a lot of the pundits said Star Wars was good, the reviewers said Star Wars was good, is because they've just left puberty. These people, they've never really, they don't know what they're talking
brought
about.
up on games like Call of Duty.
What are you two talking about right now? So you think people who liked the movie and went about their day are the immature people? But people who are screaming like a frickin' child in the car with his wife on the way home from the movies, getting mad about Star Wars, yeah, those are the mature people, right?
Okay. Now, you can have a mature way of defending the film, and you can have a mature way of critiquing the film. I do not find yelling about it on the way home, especially if you really didn't like it and you're a really big fan of it. I don't find that I don't find that bad. Like, if a film is bad, it's outrageously bad, and it insults your intelligence, you kind of have a right to do that. Because guess what? It's been going on for the entire history of film. Alright, it's really ramped up in the 80s. And then the 90s was even worse. 2000s was even worse. 2010s was even worse right now. Okay? I do not find it all that bad that people are going around yelling about a movie on the drive home from fucking watching the movie and then making a video about it on YouTube. I don't find that too distressing. I don't find that bad at all. But he also showed a couple of comments. Let me check those comments on Metacritic about the film. And I will also address this Call of Duty comment, the lady's Call of Duty comment. You know, Call of Duty is basically all amateur now. Like, I still find that Infinite Warfare was the last game with a good story from Call of Duty, as Reykjavik pointed out in his video, which is why I made a video about Infinite Warfare. I felt that the characters were good, and that truly lifted up the experience, even if the gameplay was a little off and the story not as great. It at least tried something, despite the fact that it was in a slumper. And then freaking World War II came out. A bunch of people praised it just for the fact that it went back into World War II. They did not say a thing about the story. The people who hated the Call of Duty campaign were the people who loved the games that came out when they were younger, and then seeing it now, they hate it so much because it's basically contrived bullshit. Because Activision doesn't know how to properly develop shit anymore, do they? And that's what I kind of see the parallel between the diehard Star Wars fans of now, who don't really recognize the soul of the original trilogy, and are putting it onto these new films. So let me read this thing from Metacritic. It said, well, with welcome changes and countless surprises, his film manages to be nostalgic and new at the same time, bold and surprising. It's sure to be a franchise classic. That you're forgetting that one has 71 dislikes and only 17 likes on Metacritic. They may have been going at it a polite way, but it's not a great take on the film. If I can freaking find the other one. Or maybe that was the same one. And don't tell me that the film takes a risk. Damn it.
What are you two talking about right now? So you think people who liked them...
Okay, absolutely, truly magnificent. Star Wars Last Jedi is the connoisseur of Star Wars movie. Thank you, Rian Johnson. You just delivered the best possible early Christmas present. 37 out of 156. Well, 37 back to 156. That's not a particularly popular move. Alright, and then this film does what is brave and new rather than safe and familiar. Oh, okay, lifting scenes, set pieces, technology from previous films. Oh, that's totally new and original. No, the only thing new and original it tried to do was the character of Luke Skywalker, and it failed miserably because nothing that he did in the film until the last scene was in character for him. Nothing else was. And so I think the filmmakers who are willing to fight the urge simply seduce hardcore fans with empty promises. Nope, this entire film was empty promises. And it's 35 to 130. So notice how he's only using the 10 plus ratings out of the 3 Metacritic things. All right, if you actually watch the video, he only uses the 10 scores on Metacritic. Why can't you use people who slightly disagree? Like, do you truly believe that the film is such a masterpiece that you will not accept any criticism of it? Like, you won't accept a 9.5, you won't accept a 9, you won't accept an 8, you won't 8.5, you won't accept an 8. Okay, that's pretty close-minded. Pretty close-minded.
Sure, people, but people who are screaming like a freaking child in the car with his wife on the way home from the movies, getting mad about Star Wars. Yeah, those are the mature people, right? Of course.
I actually enjoyed Phantom Menace more than I enjoyed this one.
Oh my God, Star Wars only?
Sure you did.
This film really...
Oh man, Star Wars only got freaking facelifted. That's not good, because I watch his content. His content's actually pretty good, and he does things on an emotional, but also on a critical level, where he actually uses some intelligence in his reviews. He uses, actually, not some, he uses a lot of intelligence. Okay. Considering we're both Texas boys, and you've now responded to both of us personally, Not personally to me, but not Star Wars only yet. He said he enjoyed The Phantom Menace more than this one. Well, I did. Mostly because I was a kid. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I still find it more enjoyable, mostly because of the fact that I saw it as a kid and I just find it enjoyable. Like, if I want to watch a movie with my brain turned off, I will definitely watch The Phantom Menace. And that's how a lot of people feel if they're big fans of the original trilogy. That they will, if they watch the sequels or the prequels, they have to watch with their brains cut off because nothing makes sense. Despite the fact that there are a couple things in the prequel trilogy that make a little bit more sense towards the end, just not much in the beginning.
To appreciate the prequels because of their original story.
Wait a minute, I thought the problem with The Last Jedi was that it was too different. Now you're praising the prequels because they were different?
No! What are you talking... No! The reason people take such distaste with The Last Jedi is the fact that it's extremely similar. When it tries something, it doesn't actually try something new. It just falls flat on its face. And then the entire bulk of the story is just stuff that's lifted from other movies, which is people's main criticism of the prequels. But at least with the prequels, those were more or less just references. They were like, when they took stuff and put it in the movie, they were just references. They weren't things that tried to help them hold the movie together. Okay? Criticize the prequels all you want. I do it all the time too. It was a different story, as Red Letter Media pointed out. It was vastly different. It inverted everything from the original trilogy, but it tried to make it its own thing. It introduced new concepts. It did more with the world building. You got a bigger sense of what the world was like, at least. You at least got that. In this one, you don't know what's going on. All you follow is two factions who basically, according to the movie's own logic, do really fuck all with the galaxy. Like, no one cares other than these two factions. No one else cares. Not even the Hutts are trying to do some shit right now with the galaxy in crisis. You think they would be wanting to try some shit right now? I bet you they would. I bet you. Okay? And the entire point of the story, like I said, it was an inversion of the original trilogy with its own stuff mixed in there. You had space politics, you had gigantic wars, but it was all more done with a sinister overtone. While the original trilogy did stuff more or less like a soap opera, where it tries to leave you feeling good. And while I don't watch soap operas, if every soap opera was like Star Wars, like the original Star Wars, I would definitely watch in a heartbeat. But that's one of the things with the prequel trilogy that people just don't like, is that while it was different, it wasn't trying to earn it. It just didn't flow right like it did with Star Wars, like the original trilogy. But no, I mean, I'm hard pressed to find people who seriously think that The Last Jedi is bad because it's too different. That's ridiculous. I find that absolutely ridiculous. And then, looking back on it now, there were people who said that, but not many say that now. Alright, and I know this video came out at a different time. This came out 5, 6, maybe 7 months ago, if I can remember correct. But most people right now criticize the film for taking everything from the original trilogy. It was taking scenes, taking plot points, and putting it in the movie. Whereas the prequel trilogy took those and at least tried to mix it up. And while they were certainly similar, they were at least done differently. Whereas people think, and rightfully think, that the stuff that Ryan did with the stuff that he lifted from the original trilogy, and J.J. Abrams' work as well, it's unoriginal. It's too safe. It tries to act over-intellectual. It tries to think like it's the next Matrix, while ironically enough referencing the Matrix as well. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. Okay, so 44 minutes into this one, so I'm going to go ahead, stop her here. What's the timestamp on this one? 22:53. So once again, going through at least 4 minutes time on this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't die, please. And don't do drugs.